First of all about our overnight camps, of which there are 6: Timberlake, Indian Brook, Tamarack Farm, Salt Ash Mountain, Flying Cloud, and Barn Day. I'm going to talk about the Barn Day camp separately. Questers. We have a very robust campership program. We have an endowment that throws off enough money for us to give over $250,000 in campership every year. We have some named endowments named for specific people to whom campership was important, like my grandmother, and we have a more general campership fund. And we raise money every year for the campership fund. That's part of our capital campaign, our Thrive for 75 capital campaign that's ongoing at the moment. Leah probably has pledge forms if you're interested. We also have partnerships with a number of organizations that give us access to children who might not think that farm and wilderness would be something that would be possible for them. The Vermont Refugee Resettlement Program is one of them. There's organizations, there's some unions. We had a connection with the Service Employees International Union in New York City, and they send us probably 35 to 40 kids every summer. And so this, and also our connections with Quaker schools, give us access to children and give them access to us where the connection might not otherwise be made. Then I want to talk about the Barn Day Camp a little bit separately, because one of the beauties of the Barn Day Camp is it's a 2-week program, and we start them pretty much once they're out of diapers. And so families who live locally with children or grandchildren visiting have a place that they can go for 2 weeks and have a wonderful program. It's one of our, well, I love all of the camps, but I got to say it's one of our best programs. That includes farming, it includes swimming, they even go on an overnight hike, and we have a separate campership process for that. And again, we don't have any partnerships for BDC, no, just for the residential camps. But again, we give away, oh, Jonathan's not here, I want to say this year it's 16% of our budget goes to, 16% goes to campership each year. We, amongst the other New England nonprofit camps, we are head and shoulders above them in terms of, well, first of all, appalling as this may seem, our tuition is at the low end compared to our colleagues at other New England nonprofits. And no question, I'm not gonna shine it on and say we're not expensive. It's expensive. And we give far more in campership each year. Partly because diversity doesn't just mean different races, it also means different classes, and it also means different socioeconomic status and different cultural experiences, and we value that. That's essential for teaching children how to live in harmony with others.
Can I
Please.
embellish on that?
Please.
We're very honored to have an endowment fund that's called the Susan Webb Fund, which is named after Kristi's grandmother. And that is a fund that is restricted for Vermont campers and also Vermont school programs. And so we've been very fortunate to develop that fund over time. And what that allows is that we've been able to work, a great example is with Jill Crosby over with Red Hawk. To develop scholarship funds for campers from Plymouth and Bridgewater. And so I definitely encourage local families, if they'd like to send their children here, we have the endowed funds available to assist as it's needed. And we're also building the partnerships with other local businesses that are helping make that happen. So don't be shy.
Yeah, don't be shy. Thank you, Peter. I'm glad you were able to add to my knowledge. Yes, Ben.
When you are operational in the summer, how many staff do you have for all the camps?
Okay, so we have 25 year-round staff, some of who are obviously, year-round. So some of them are our camp directors. Our camp directors are all year-round staff. Summer staff, how many summer staff do we have? 265.
Wow.
And how many children? 400 children at any given moment.
Like 800 or 900 kids.
800 or
in
900
total.
kids total. It used to be, back when the world was younger, that kids would come for 8 weeks. And life is different now. Kids have many more demands on their time. Families like to keep their children with them for greater periods of time. Some families, some children. And so we have many more kids coming for just half of a season, for the 3.5-week session, than for the full, now a little bit more than 7 weeks session than we used to, which increases our numbers, yeah. I can't believe, oh, maybe you're going to ask this question, okay. Okay.
One of your 6 spices, did you call it?
Yes, spices.
Is service.
Yes.
And we in Plymouth have seen some children doing work. Can you tell us a little bit about how that works and where they go and what kind of projects end up getting?
Absolutely.
in the service program?
So let's start with, after, you call it Tropical Storm Irene, I always called it Hurricane Irene. I know, technically it was a tropical storm, right? But you know, the impact, right, who's to say, tropical storm, hurricane, the impact was huge. So some of our service work you will have seen after Irene, when our crew, which is, we have literally a skeleton crew. Okay, not literally skeletons, but we have a small group of people who stay all winter long to tend to the animals and to the buildings, and they mobilized to dig mud out of basements and help people put their houses back together. I know they helped the Pingrees, they helped Tesha at Good Commons, and some other projects. So there was an example of service. During the summertime, here from Tamarack Farm, and also IBNTL, they do service trips. Yeah, we send out hiking and canoeing trips, you know, to our beautiful Vermont lakes and rivers. Also, you know, Maine, New Hampshire. Grandpa always rolled up the windows when we went into New Hampshire, so I kind of hate to even admit that we go there. But Maine, New Hampshire, and sometimes up even into Canada. But more and more, as we're trying to be very aware of our carbon footprint, we want to stay local. So in addition to hiking and canoeing and rock climbing trips, the other kinds of trips we'll have is we'll send kids out for 5 days or a week to, for example, a local farm. I'm going to need some help giving specific examples.
Well, like we helped, I think, with the Plymouth Playground, we helped in Woodstock, and a lot of it's coming from the community identifying need and saying, would you be interested in partnering up with us? And trying to identify that need in the spring or over the winter so that we can queue it up.
And a very significant part after Irene was we were focused on other organic farms that had suffered from Irene, and that was a really neat part of this Tamarack Farm program is they went to organic farms all around the state, mostly clearing rocks. It wasn't very glamorous, but trying to get all the other organic farms back up and running so they'd be ready to farm the next year. And that was a really important part of the post-Irene process.
That's the kind of thing that I was... Yes.
Speaking about the farms, I believe this lady that was here spoke at Tyson Reach Out Luncheon and said that in the fall that you have a program similar to a CSA where you sell your
We do.
food.
We do.
You still have that, and how does one become aware of it and sign up for it?
We do, and it's sort of a limited production, so we don't, that's the only reason it's not widely advertised, but I think, have we ever put it on the Plymouth Forum, or? We could.
When there is excess, there's, because it's usually first offered to staff, and when the farm figures out how many shares there are left, we can put it out to the community, so.
Yeah.
Barn-
In the past, it's been word of mouth because it is such a small production, but that, we could look at a way
Yeah,
when there
maybe
is.
we can keep a list of people who are interested, and then I can get in touch with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And barn day camp parents or grandparents, when they pick up their children once a week, there is a small farmer's market that the kids from here, the adolescents, 15 to 17-year-olds from Tamarack Farm, run a little farm stand down at the barn day camp for BDC parents or grandparents. I can't believe nobody has asked the question.
Will you swim naked?
Thank you, Midge. Thank you. I cannot tell you the number of times in my life when I have met people, this has even happened on a job interview, where they would say to me, "Oh, you're Ken Webb's granddaughter. Let me tell you about the first time I met your grandfather." And it was, yeah, okay, I could see in the room who knows the ending to the story. It was always, he was stark naked except for his orthopedic shoes, and he was in his garden. So I mentioned that my grandparents were classicists. So Grandpa was very much very much about the Greek motto, mens sana in corpore sano, a healthy mind and a healthy body. And he was all about, he had a number of physical deformities. His feet, hence the orthopedic shoes, and some others. He had a congenital condition. And he absolutely believed that it was essential that children understand that bodies did not need to look one way. That what was important about your body was what it did. That you could transporter le bois, which was his game for getting kids to gather wood for the fire, that you could chop wood, that you could swim, that you could canoe, that you could do trail maintenance, that you could hoe weeds in the garden, that was what was important, and not how your body looked. And he took great delight in every morning he would go for a canoe, stark naked, with his double-bladed paddle on the lake. And that time of day when the mist is just rising from the lake, right? He would go out, he would come back and he would have a skinny dip, and then he would do his military exercises, and then he would, and then his day would start.
Not by a highway.
No. Oh, no. Oh, yeah, good point. We're going to come back to that one. So and of course, even people as illustrious as Patrick Leahy and Jim Jeffords have said, skinny dipping in Vermont in the summertime, well, of course you're going to do that. So, yes, we did swim naked. There was skinny dipping, absolutely, yes. And I'm laughing at Guy over here because, yes, the girls' camp down at the south end was far more exposed to Route 100 than the boys' camp, which has a swimming cove. So we always, and especially once Route 100 was paved, we always used to refer to Seymour Clearly, and who was out in his motorboat with his binoculars. Oh yeah, Seymour Clearly's out there again. But as many things have changed with time, and we are far more sensitive to really unfortunate histories of abuse that some children have had to endure, and also to cultural differences. And for that reason, we no longer engage in that practice. But of course, you're living in close community with other people. Our cabins are three-sided open cabins, and our showers are communal showers, and our outhouses are, we have indoor plumbing, but during the summer the campers don't use it. And so there are lots of other opportunities for campers to see each other's bodies and to see that what's important is what your body can do, that you have a strong and healthy body and not what it looks like. And that's especially important for our girls and young women. Thank you for asking the question. You were very courageous. Thank you so much for your time.
I want to thank, first of all, besides thanking Kristi, I want to thank another staff who I didn't get a chance to introduce, Kim Gaines.
Yes.
She was instrumental. Kim and Jen Glaster were the ones, as well as the cooks, which I think they've probably already gone, but just appreciation for them for pulling this all together in the midst of a board meeting weekend and everything else that goes with that. I'd like to give one more hand for Kristi, because that was...
Did somebody offer an antihistamine?
Yeah, I can get it in the back.
Thank you. I would love it. Thank you. I will take one now.
So the other